The oceans make people feel at peace. That's until you encounter the dangers that lie beneath the sparkly blue surface. Under the surface with low visibility, this diver was just floating about, recording some footage and playing it with fish. In this very short clip, you see everyone's underlying fear come to life, with the diver being inches away from having the shark bite his head off. He managed to dodge luckily and probably swam to safety after. But just look at how close the shark got to his head. His composure is surprising and honestly impressive. Shark scientists seem to be one of the most daring people of all. Although it's hard to tell whether they're incredibly brave or incredibly stupid sometimes. Like here, they sent this guy down in a glass cage to have shark inspect him. Unlucky for him though, that the door seemed to be broken. He managed to keep it closed with his hand, but that didn't stop the sharks from coming at him. One shark in particular went straight for the small opening in the door, and this guy pushed it away by hand. If he was any more unlucky, he wouldn't have a hand to push sharks away after this.
Guys, the door is broken! I've been asked to keep it closed!
It's one thing to encounter sharks by chance in the sea. This man here decided he would bait the shark straight towards him and try to touch it. What could go wrong, am I right? The shark, of course, went after the bait like a magnet, and then as soon as it came close enough, the guy dangles his hand over it and tries to reach for it when the shark jumps out of the water to take a bite off him. He reacted fast enough to avoid the bite, and the railing protected him and his friend from being toast. It seems that sharks don't really care if you're in a cage or not. If they're hunting, they will hunt. Like this man who went in the cage to check out the sharks. He was pretty safe inside the cage for the most part, but the shark decided it would try to get him anyways. So it started biting at the boys attached to the cage, which could have caused it to sink, putting the man at risk. So he got out of the water before things got any worse. What's funny is that the shark was still after this cage even when he wasn't in there, probably in hopes of its prey coming back in. There isn't much mobility when observing sharks in a cage. So these people built a kind of cage underwater vehicle to help see what the sharks are doing. What they didn't expect is that the sharks would use them to assert dominance on each other. The sharks tried to bite through the cage, giving the divers a nice view of their terrifying sharp teeth and gaping mouth. But luckily enough, the cage was just small enough for the sharks to not make it through.
Can you see a transmitter?
This guy's huge! North. Left, come to the left! What the? She's massive!
At least the cages provide people with some protection. These divers decided they would go in unprotected, so see the sharks in action. What happens is what you would expect. The sharks began circling them in no time. and if the two divers didn't have each other to watch out for any imminent danger, then they both would have been screwed. It didn't help that they were in low lighting conditions, which meant that the sharks would have an easier time sneaking up on them. The two got out safely and left with some incredible footage.
Someone's got spray. Typically goes down. Drop the gun. You'll be in big trouble.
Sharks in itself are terrifying. Add tiger to the name, and you get double the terror. Only some are brave enough to willingly swim among them, without the bars of a magnet or metal cage protecting them. These divers went to check out some tiger sharks and were greeted with bumps and nudges to the full. One of them even kept going at one of those divers, and he had to keep pushing it away to not become fish food. When these things got too dangerous for them, they managed to swim back to the safety of their boats.
Got in the water. We'll just keep our eyes open, Neil. I'm out of here.
Here we have a professional surfer amidst a surfing competition. He's swimming to catch some waves in the water, but instead got something else. A shark came out of nowhere right behind him, terrifying the guy. Luckily, he managed to ward it off using a surfboard until someone could come and rescue him to safety. His surfboard really suffered from that event and was left behind at the mercy of the shark, while he himself got out safely. These guys seemed to have a good laugh out of their shark experience. One of their friends was floating around in the water when a shark decided to bop its head out of the water and swim right next to him. It might have even attacked if the guy hadn't been careful. He immediately scrambled back into the boat, and it doesn't seem like he's going to go back into the water after this. That shark was way too close for comfort. This man was taking a nice little swim in the sea with the scuba diving equipment on. At first it looks like there's barely any fish in his surroundings, which he is filming with his camera. So of course, no one would expect anything to pop out all of a sudden. And that's exactly what happened here. Out of nowhere, a shark just started swimming straight towards this guy, and anyone would be just frozen in fear at the sight of this. This man was able to fight it off by confusing the shark with his own equipment and able to swim to safety. Lucky for him.